You'll never make it. You're not smart enough. That's what my mom told me the day I asked her to believe in me. My brother laughed in my face. She wants to open a cafe. Isn't that cute? I left without another word. And for 2 years, I cried in silence and built in secret. When they finally saw my name on the cafe window, they froze. But me? I just smiled. I'm Rachel Carter. And this is the story of how I turned humiliation into a brand. Grab your coffee. Take a sip, because you're going to like this story. Since I was 18, I paid the bills at home. Rent, electricity, my mom's medication, internet, so my brother could play video games. My waitress salary was never enough, but no one treated it like a sacrifice. It was just expected of me. You're the responsible one, they said. Or worse, you're the only one with a good head on your shoulders. I just swallowed it and kept going. While everyone else slept, I was up at 5. While they were out on weekends, I was juggling double shifts. My mom was always drowning in debt. Every week it was a new bill and new, just help me this once, I'll sort it out next week. But next week never came. And my brother, he loved to show off. Expensive sneakers, nights out, plans to travel. When I asked where the money came from, he'd say, "From your wallet, duh," and laugh like it was a joke. Mom would shrug and say, "Boys need support." As if I didn't. As if I wasn't a person too. I tried to save money once. Just once. Opened a separate account, kept it hidden, started putting away $20 a week. Didn't even last a month before my mom found out. She called me selfish. "Oh, so now you're hiding money? While we're struggling and you're thinking only of yourself." My brother chimed in, "What's next? Disney World with your pocket change." That day I realized, in their eyes, I wasn't a daughter. I was an ATM. One that wasn't allowed to ever be out of service. Working 2 shifts was brutal. I smiled at strangers all day, cleared tables, rushed orders. Sometimes the pain in my feet was so bad I'd cry on the bus ride home. But at home I couldn't show it. There, I was the strong one, the problem solver, the bill payer. No one asked if I was tired, or sad, or if I still dreamed of another life. Dreams. Those were luxuries. And I didn't have a right to luxury, just responsibility. One night, after my shift, I stayed behind in the restaurant kitchen with an old notebook in my hands. Lights were off. Everyone had gone home. But I stayed. Slowly I wrote, Rachel's Cafe. Then I sketched out a wild idea for a cozy little shop. Nothing fancy. Just a place that smelled like hope. I didn't dare tell anyone. But deep down I wanted it. Badly. It was the first time in years I thought about me. 2 weeks later, I gathered the courage to tell my mom. Said I was thinking of saving money, learning about small business, maybe opening something simple. She didn't even let me finish. "You weren't born for that. You're too stupid to be a business owner." That hit like a slap, not because it hurt, but because she said it with certainty. Like my failure was already written. Like dreaming was a mistake. But my brother was worse. He didn't just laugh, he held. "A cafe? Sure, if it's just to keep serving other people." He said that while chewing a sandwich I bought him. With soda. With my money. I looked at him and felt something shift. It wasn't sadness. It was silence. A quiet kind of rage that doesn't yell, it watches. It remembers. I was footing the bill, and still the punchline. That night I couldn't sleep. Their words echoed in my head like traffic at rush hour. Stupid. Serve others. Selfish. I closed my eyes and thought about being a kid, dreaming of a cafe filled with books and fresh flowers. It never seemed impossible until my family convinced me I was too small to try. But that night, something changed. I got up, opened my notebook again, and wrote. I'd never be their wallet again. I did everything right. I studied, I researched, and I drafted a simple business plan with just a pen and a ruler. I didn't even own a printer. I found a small spot owned by an older woman who just wanted someone trustworthy. I had enough for the first month's rent, but I needed a cosigner. That was it. And I thought, after everything I've done for them, this is the least they could do. Naive, I know. When I asked my mom for help, she didn't even flinch. "I'm not putting my name on this madness," she snapped. "If it fails, I'm the one left holding the bag." I felt the ground disappear under me. And I hadn't even heard the worst part yet. My brother, the same one I supported for years, overheard and laughed. "Rachel, you're great at serving coffee, not selling it. That thing's gonna crash before the month's over." He said it like a joke, like he always did, even when begging for money. But this time, I couldn't hide the sting. I turned red, not from shame, from pain, and from a decision that started forming right then and there. I was going to do it without them. That same week, I sold the only thing of value I owned, my used car. It was old, but it got me to every shift. I took that money, plus what I'd been secretly saving, and bought a second-hand espresso machine, 2 wooden tables, and a beach umbrella. I set up a little cart in a forgotten corner of the city where sidewalk space was basically free. No name, no sign, no support, just me, a rehearsed smile, and faith that this could grow into something. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Working that cart felt like punishment and blessing all at once. I'd wake up at 4, organize supplies, carry everything in bags through 2 buses, and set up before sunrise. Some days, I barely sold 5 coffees. Other days, I couldn't sit down. Winter wind cut my fingers, and the rain tested my patience. But every customer who smiled and said, "This is amazing coffee," kept me going. It felt like God whispering, "I see you. Keep going." I stayed like that for 2 years. 2 years without Christmas with my family. No birthdays. No weekends. They never asked where I was. And when they did, it was just to see if I could cover a bill real quick. I learned to say no without guilt. They thought I was distant out of pride. But it was survival. I had to walk away just to not lose myself. Every dollar saved was another scar healed. Every dawn at the coffee cart was a vote of confidence in me. During the second winter, I started making cakes. Then I bought a bigger canopy. One regular customer helped me design a simple, beautiful menu. I drew it myself. The cart became a community spot. Locals started calling it the Smiling Girls Cafe. And I did smile. Not because it was easy, but because I finally had something no one could take from me. Autonomy. For the first time, my sweat wasn't buying someone else's dream. It was funding mine. One afternoon, a well-dressed woman stopped at the cart. She ordered an espresso, ate a slice of cake, and stood quietly watching. Before leaving, she asked, "You built all this?" I said yes. She handed me a card and said, "I have a small spot open in a shopping plaza. I think you could do something big with it." My hands trembled as I took the card. I thanked her, waited until she walked away, and cried in the nearest porta potty. It wasn't just a location. It was the beginning of the rest of my life. I went to see it the next day. It was small, but had morning sunlight and space for 4 tables. The rent fit exactly into what I'd saved, earned through sweat and sacrifice. I said yes, told no one, posted nothing, just trusted that this was my turning point. It took me 3 months to renovate it. I painted the walls the exact color I'd dreamed of since I was a kid. Chose every detail myself. A friend made the wooden sign for the front. And on it, I placed the name I'd once written in a notebook, Carter & Company. The very first customer was a sweet older lady who used to buy coffee from my cart. She stepped inside, looked around, and cried. "I knew you'd make it," she whispered. That day, I locked myself in the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and whispered back. They didn't help me. They humiliated me. But I'm still here. And I'm not done yet. And I wasn't. Because the real shame was thinking I needed their permission to begin. The store's opening was quiet. No balloons. No loud music. No Instagram post. Just a glass door, a wooden sign with my name, and the smell of coffee I brewed myself. People came in slowly, like they were discovering a hidden gem. Old customers from the street cart showed up, eyes full of emotion. "You deserve this," they said. I smiled and whispered a soft thank you. But inside, I wanted to scream. Not from anger, from relief. For the first time, I stood in a space that was mine. No favors. No debt. Just work. The first few months were tough. Some days, I had leftover cakes. Some nights, I slept on the store's sofa to save on bus fare. But giving up never crossed my mind. I did everything. Took orders, cleaned, cooked. Every order I wrote down felt like a little victory. One day, a local influencer walked in unannounced. She posted a photo of my cappuccino and wrote, "The coziest cafe in town." The next day, The line went around the block. I had no staff, no experience, but I had drive. And drive doesn't need training. As customers grew, I hired my first helper. Then a barista. The team was small, but the heart was big. We treated every customer like they were the only one. And people noticed. Every now and then, someone would say, "This place is soul." And it did. My story was in the tiles. My struggle lived in the wooden tables. My faith brewed in every porcelain cup. Meanwhile, my family? Nowhere. No texts. No calls. No visits. And honestly, I didn't miss them. For the first time, their absence felt like freedom. Then one afternoon, my mom walked in. She opened the door slowly, like she wasn't sure she belonged there. Looked around with an empty stare. Dressed well, but with the same judgmental look as always. I was behind the counter, organizing orders. She came to the register and placed her order like any other customer. And I served her like any other customer. Black coffee, no sugar. She nodded. I poured it, handed it to her with a professional smile. Nothing more. And that was what hit her. She didn't say who she was. I didn't either. We stayed in that awkward politeness. She took a sip and said, "It's good. That's it." Turned her back and walked out. Didn't look back. And in that moment, I understood everything. She hadn't come out of love. She came out of curiosity, to see if it was real. And it was. And it hurt, because what she thought was impossible was standing right there, smelling like coffee and dignity. And me, the stupid daughter, now on the floor she once stepped over. 2 days later, my brother texted me. First time in over a year. "Hey, heard about the cafe. Glad to see you're trying again." Trying. Funny. I was already winning. But to him, I was still the same, just playing business now. He pretended to care. Asked how I was. Complimented the pictures. And then came the real reason. "I'm thinking of starting a bar, but I'm short on funds. Think you could help me out?" I read it and felt my stomach twist. I deleted the message. Didn't reply. Not out of pride, out of self-preservation. I knew what came next. Guilt trips, fake kindness, subtle manipulation. They were experts at it. But I wasn't the old Rachel anymore. I didn't owe them anything. No favors. No explanations. This Rachel had scars that weren't open for convenience. If he wanted to start a business, great. Just not with my sacrifice. Silence had taught me something. Some ties don't heal, they have to be cut. The cafe kept growing. A local news outlet wanted to do a feature. I gave the interview. Told the story, the rough beginnings, the cart, the rainy days. Talked about overcoming, about faith, about passion. But I never once mentioned family. Not because of hate, but because of truth. This story was mine. And mine alone. No one believed in me. No one invested a cent. So no one had the right to share the credit. The article's headline read, "She started with a cart. Now she's a local coffee icon." And at the very end, one quote stood out. "You might not have support. You might not have money. But if you have courage, you're already halfway there." And it was true. The other half, I was already walking it, without ever looking back. The second Carter and Company location was a milestone. A bigger space, right in the heart of the city, with glass walls and a golden backlit sign. Modern. Elegant. Alive. Everything I never thought I'd sign with my own name. But there it was, Carter. The same name my mother said was worthless. The same name my brother used to borrow money. Now it was trademarked. Now it was growing. And now, it made the very people who once laughed feel uncomfortable. On opening day, I didn't invite family. I invited customers. Real guests. The ones who supported me with words, with presence, with respect. When the doors opened, people cried, smiled, took pictures. It wasn't just a coffee shop. It was a statement. A woman they dismissed had built a small empire with her own hands. Every flower in the decor reminded me of nights I had nowhere to sleep. And every round of applause felt like the universe whispering, "We're sorry." Someone said my mother drove by the shop that day. That she stopped the car, stepped out, stared at the sign for a few minutes. That she read it slowly, Carter and Company. That she didn't say a word. I don't know if it's true, and honestly, I didn't care to confirm. But deep down, I could picture it. Her, standing still, trying to understand how the dumb daughter had become a businesswoman, trying to accept that the girl she called a dreamer now had a business with a line out the door and press coverage to match. A few days later, my mom walked into the shop. This time, no pretense, no smile. She walked in like someone who needed something but didn't know how to ask. Came up to the counter, ordered a coffee. Black. No sugar. I served her. Polite. Professional. With the one thing she never gave me: respect. There was no hug, no conversation, just silence. She looked around like she was evaluating something she could no longer control. Sat down, sipped slowly, and left without looking back. And me? I kept working. Not out of coldness, out of freedom. Later that week, my brother showed up. Different. Wrinkled suit. Forced smile. Polite tone. Said he was happy for me. That he always knew I had talent. That he admired my grit. And then came the pitch. I wanted to talk about a project. Maybe we could go in as partners. I took a deep breath. Almost laughed. But I stayed calm. We have a form on the website, I said. We take all proposals there. He turned red. Didn't get it. Didn't accept it. Thought he still had the same pull over me. But he didn't. He pushed. Rachel, it's me. We're family. I looked him in the eye and said, exactly. And because we're family, I know exactly who you are. He stormed off. Slammed the door harder than necessary. But I didn't flinch. Because I wasn't that girl who used to beg for approval. I was the woman who built everything he once mocked. And now he saw it. Lit up. Bold and undeniable. My name. My brand. My story. Shining brighter than any validation I once begged for. That week, I gave an interview to a business magazine. The reporter asked if I felt vindicated. I smiled. No, I said. I feel at peace. Then I explained. Revenge takes energy. Success builds things. The article ran under the headline, from waitress to owner of the city's most beloved cafe. My clients cut it out and taped it to the wall. My team celebrated. I just sat in the back with a cup of coffee and whispered thanks. To God. To life. To the pain that pushed me forward. Pain was my teacher. Loneliness, my advisor. Disdain, my fuel. And now, all of it is etched into a glowing sign that tells the world what my family refused to believe. I made it. And I owe it to no one but me. Not long after, my mother called me. First call in years. She didn't ask how I was. She went straight to it. I've got credit card debt. If I don't pay, my name gets blacklisted. Can you help? She didn't mention the cafe. Didn't ask about the shop. Didn't ask about my life. Just wanted what she always did, for me to fix her problems. I took a deep breath. Asked how much. I paid it. No explanation. No warning. Like a wire transfer from a stranger. Because that debt wasn't mine. And the emotional hole she left in me, that wasn't mine to fill either. When the money landed, she sent me an 8-second voice message. God bless you. You're a good daughter. But to her, being a good daughter meant being obedient. Never questioning. Never saying no. I wasn't that anymore. I had grown in silence, far outside their line of sight. And now, even with my name glowing on storefronts, I still felt invisible to them. Except when I was useful. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about success. It was about freedom, emotional freedom. My brother tried again. He sent in a fake resume, claiming he wanted a fresh start. Said he had changed. That my story inspired him. I almost believed it, until I found out he was telling people the company was half his. That everything I learned from him. I laughed. Sadly, but I laughed. Because he never cared about my journey. He just wanted applause he never earned. I called him in to talk. He thought I'd cave. I offered something else instead. You want to work here? Start by washing dishes. That's where I started. He lost it. Called me arrogant. Ungrateful. Full of myself. I looked him in the eye and said, no. I just became the woman you swore I'd never be. He slammed the door. Again. Never came back. And honestly, it was a relief. Keeping people around just because of blood ties is a prison. I wanted people who respected me. People who knew the difference between support and leeching. Between love and dependency. And my family never learned that. I kept going. Kept building. started investing in other women, partnered with nonprofits, donated equipment, launched a small grant for first-time entrepreneurs. I knew what it was like to have nothing, to be afraid to dream. And now that I had space, I wanted others to have it too. Because success that's only used to get revenge, not worth it. But success that opens doors for others, that one heals, that one counts. I was invited to speak at a university. Almost said no. I felt small next to all those degrees, all those big names. But I told my story, from the exploited waitress to the underestimated owner. People in the audience cried. One girl hugged me after and said, "You gave me the courage to try." I went home with tears in my eyes and a full heart. I had turned rejection into a road, disdain into direction, lack into strength. My mother sends messages now and then. "I'm proud of you. I always knew you were special." I don't respond, because words were never what was missing. What was missing was presence, support, humanity. My brother blocked me. No idea where he is. I hope he found something real out there. As for me, I found mine. It's printed on every wall, every receipt, every warm cup of coffee. But more than anything, it's in my freedom. Today, I look back, and I don't feel anger. I feel distance. And it's a good distance. A needed one. Some people only see your worth when they lose you. And they lost me the day they laughed at my dream. They've never been able to find me since. Because the moment I rose from that floor, I never stood in the same place again. They lost me when they doubted me. And they've never known where to find me since. These days, I get to the shop early. I love seeing the lights turn on, the smell of fresh bread baking, the hum of the coffee machine warming up. I sit in the back with my old notebook in hand, the same one where I first wrote the name of the cafe. Carter and Company. It still has grease stains, folded pages, messy scribbles. But now, it's a living reminder of who I was, of who no one believed I could become, and of how, even when I was dismissed, I stood my ground. People call me an inspiration now. They say my story is beautiful. But most don't know the price I paid. It wasn't just time. It was identity. It was trust. It was, at times, my sanity. I gave everything to something that only existed in my head. And still I kept going. Through tears and overdue bills, through insults and sleepless nights, I moved forward. Because if I gave up, there'd be nothing left. It was this, or going back to what they said I was. And I made a choice, never go back. Today, I have 3 Carter and Company locations. I employ over 20 people. We offer training scholarships, mental health support, free classes, and I'm personally involved in every project. Not out of duty, but because I know where pain begins, and how far it can drag you when no one's there to hold your hand. No one held mine, so I chose to become that hand for someone else, to turn every wound I carried into a bridge. Every no I heard into a yes for another woman starting from scratch. I get messages every day. People telling me they quit toxic jobs, started something of their own, or finally dared to dream. And to all of them, I say the same thing. You don't have to be strong all the time, but you do have to be faithful to what you believe in. Because that's what saved me. Faith. Persistence. The daily reminder that even if no one believed in me, I still could. Even if just for one more day. And that's how I built something no one ever saw coming. My mom stops by sometimes now. She asks for a table, drinks her coffee, quietly compliments the place. I treat her with respect. But that's all. I don't feel guilt anymore, or the need to be accepted. She had the chance to walk with me, and chose to laugh instead. Now she walks outside. My brother never came back. I hear he talks about me, says it all worked out because he inspired me. Let him talk. The world listens, but only believes results. And mine glows in golden letters on the front window. There's a quote on the mural in the store. It says, "You're not born ready, but you can be reborn strong." One of my employees wrote it, not knowing what it would mean to me. I cried when I read it, because that's exactly what happened to me. I wasn't ready, but I went anyway, even afraid, even hurting. What once looked like weakness became strength. What they called stubbornness became legacy. And what once was just a waitress became someone worth looking up to. I always say my greatest asset isn't money. It isn't recognition. It's freedom. The freedom of knowing that if everything fell apart tomorrow, I could rebuild. Because I've seen rock bottom. And I've seen the light. And I walk toward it with calloused hands and a whole heart. There's no space left in me for hate, only for truth. And my truth, now it's out there. Sold in every cup, lived in every day. No shame, no hiding, no debt to the past. I used to be just a waitress. Now I have a brand. But what I carry is worth far more than that. I carry a story no one can erase. If you liked this story, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me what you liked in the comments. And if you want to help me keep telling these stories, you can buy me a coffee. The link is in the first pinned comment. Every cup helps me keep sharing stories like Rachel's, stories that deserve to be heard.